Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. We're now in the new year. We're in the new year.
We are not in the new year.
Yes,
we're
we.
so old.
Oh, come on! Blink. We're recording before the new year, but this is dropping in the new year. We're in the new year, Tina. We're in the new year.
Okay, I'm going to pretend we're in the new year because I'm in the old year.
Okay. So, tell me about your goings on, because I'm looking at you. Your background has shifted from where I thought you last were. So,
It's been a whirlwind, Sue, and I am really realizing what it means to be 57 and what it would mean had I had a child.
at
And I got to
57?
tell you, at 57, I got to tell you that there is a reason life slows down.
Hold it.
Yeah, where am I going with
How
this?
can
Have I
someone?
lost
No,
you?
wait.
Oh,
How can? Excuse me. You're going to have
yes.
a baby at 57?
No. What I'm saying is, and now I'll be clear, Maria's 12-year-old niece came and stayed with us for 12 days. And it was a whirlwind of joy, of fun, of sheer exhaustion, of really looking at energy levels between 12 and 57 and 50. And that's what I had to share. It has been a whirlwind. She left this morning at 3:30 to go to the airport, which is a whole other story. So this has been an adventurous chunk of time. Definitely a whirlwind. So what I want to point out is, because we are on retired, right? So my retirement with her is just having this time with someone in my home that's so young. And it's a different thing. Have you spent almost 2 weeks of time with someone that young?
No, and I can't say that I want to.
Right. Well, it was a joy. Like, this girl is smart. And I always look at her and think, if I had had a classroom full of her, I'd be back in that teaching world, enjoying my life completely. I would love it. But the problem is they're not all like her.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I said no very quickly because, in general, no, because I like the life that I have right now and the level of energy and commitment towards others. Having another person in your house, a young person who needs your care and your attention. I'm not it'd have to be a special circumstance and someone who fits in more with what I'm looking for in life rather than the other way around. Because when you're parenting a child, they're the focus, and that's the way it should be, as it should be, and it's for their good. So no, I don't see that unless there was some strange circumstance that did it. 2 weeks is good. I think that if I were having a kid 12 years old visiting for 2 weeks, I'd want their adult with them so that I'm not in charge of all the things. Either that, or if I had an older, like maybe my daughter was with me at the same time. She's an adult. I'm like, okay, I'm handing off. Here we go. Because that's the beauty to me about being I'm not going to be a grandma. I don't see that ever happening. But being a grandma or an aunt or a great aunt, it's wonderful. You just say, oh, you love the kids. You have them. You compliment them. You spend time with them in a special way and teach them magical things. And then you just hand them back to the parents because, they're not your commitment, your responsibility. So that's my answer on that one. So you had a delightful time with this kid.
I had a delightful time, but I parallel with you in your thoughts and sentiments and feelings, because you forget just how on it is, or was when we were parents. And it was like this realization of like, wow, how did I do that? How do we parent every day, 24, hours, 365? It's a very demanding thing on top of life, on top of work, on top of keeping a home, on top of it all. So it was a great realization but it's also very beautiful. And it made me remember just how sacred 12 is.
And that kiddo is
It's
going to remember this trip for her whole life. I
always,
mean,
and she was
that's
here
an
last
important.
Christmas too.
That's an important. Okay, that's an
Yeah,
important age.
it
It
is.
impacts you. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the awakening of memory, of thoughts. Like they have honest opinions. They see things through a different lens than a child that just kind of follows along. It was been interesting. So you asked about the background. Let me tell you the craziest experience we had.
Okay. Hang on. Let's
So,
give the listeners a second to just buckle their seatbelts here. Hang on. Let's take a break.
so it was the night before Christmas. Actually, it was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. I don't know.
The
The eve
eve
before
of Christmas
Eve.
Eve.
So Maria's niece really wanted to go back to Big Bear because that's where we had spent the last Christmas. And it's cute downtown. They have everything displayed. There's like fire pits and there's a chance of snow, right? So
Okay, hang on. I'm going to interrupt. A
yeah.
chance of snow? Are you kidding? We were watching the weather, and there was weather all over Northern California, Southern
we know.
California, big time.
Oh, I know.
Even into yeah. Okay, so
Yes, I do
buckle.
know.
I'm
That's part of the
understanding.
story, is the road
I'm
trip.
imagining because when I heard you were traveling, I was thinking, oh my gosh, are you kidding? This
What
is
are you
like
thinking?
dangerous stuff. They're telling people not to travel.
Travel.
So okay. Oh, I'm scared. Okay, but you're here, so okay, go ahead. Sorry to
It's all
interrupt.
good. So it turns out Maria at the last minute, Friday morning, got someone to replace her, or not. Yeah, Friday morning, someone to replace her for the morning. So I had 1 hour and 15 minutes. We packed, got in the car, and then we had to get food, right? And then I said we must get chains because we need, even though we have 4-wheel drive and mud and snow tires, I said, no matter what, we're going to have chains. You just never know the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So we get in the car, we finally get going, and there on the roadways, it showed red. And the first red we came to was simply pull over and put on the chains. But we didn't even have to put on chains because we had the right car. I felt comfortable driving in it. I grew up in it. But then we hit the town of Bridgeport and it said road closed and my heart sank. And for a moment, I thought there was a chance. He said, where are you going? I said, well, Big Bear. And he said, wonderful. I said, I've got chains. We've got it all. I can do this. And he's like, I'm sure you can, ma'am. But there are 8 cars before you that couldn't. And so there are so many wrecks that we have closed the road. So it didn't have to do with the weather per se. It was the people that had to drive too fast and not know what they're doing. So we ended up doing a detour, which meant going north behind all the mountains on the Nevada side and then come back down to the same place. So my youngest daughter had been following me on the map and said, Mom, do you realize you've just spent 4 hours? It's now 5:30 and you are parallel with Lake Tahoe. You've basically not gone anywhere in all the driving you have just done. And at that point, I wanted to throw in the towel. I was cranky. I was done driving. I wanted to go home. It was an hour and 20 back to where Reno is, or it was another 7.5 hours to go to where we needed to.
Assuming that the roads would be
Assuming that all was
open,
going to go
yes.
well.
And you're on the road with all these crazies. Okay.
Holy cow. So here we go.
Okay. And you got Gigi in the car too, right?
We have Gigi in the car.
Yeah.
So we have a Floridian girl who is so excited, enjoying the snow, the excitement, all of it. And I could have turned around. But the aunt says, no, we're going to keep going. And I promise I'll do the driving. We spent most of the drive like on the backside, like I said. So it really wasn't horrible weather on that part. It was in the middle of the desert, right? Anyway, we got there at 4 a.m. and we took turns. And when it was my turn to drive, I think I lasted 30 minutes before I had to pull over. I was so exhausted. So we limp in. Then my youngest daughter and her boyfriend, they felt stranded in San Diego, so they didn't want to drive all the way up.
Your daughter felt stranded in San Diego.
Right, because they were originally going to drive up to be with us, both the father and myself, up in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
But then they didn't want to do the driving. And this is where, Sue, this is the thing. The driving really wasn't bad. And I think that the difference is I grew up with snow with Norwegian parents who grew up with snow. And it's like snow does not stop you. Weather does not stop you. The key to it all is preparation and absolutely slow. That is the key. If you go super slow, you're fine, but it might take 5 times longer. But that's the problem, is the other people who don't know, who want to drive in the same way they always do, not really understanding, and they end up in the accident. And that's where you pray you're not part of it.
Right.
So I think that's where the danger comes. I feel confident in how I manage snow and ice, but I do not feel confident with those, like, example of 8 people off the sides of cliffs.
Right.
Anyway, so we had a wonderful, so that next day came the daughter and the boyfriend, and then we stayed one more day all together, and then we packed up and did it again. Now, this is where it gets more insane. So we were barely there, and then my cat, because you noticed the cat. So my cat was so grateful because he's been taken care of by all the neighbors, by my good friend Dave, actually. And he was so affectionate. This is a feral outdoor mostly cat. And he did not want to go outside. He slept on everybody's lap. He just went roving. He was so angelic. And we thought, we need to bring him back. So this is where the adventure began. We put him in a cat carrier in the back. And this cat is so strong. And I made sure it was locked. And we're driving 20 minutes from home to head back up north. And we heard this bang. I'm like, I think he broke the cage. And sure enough, that cat broke the cage. And then he was as happy as can be. He stopped howling and he sat on our laps for another 9-hour drive. Can you believe it? But this is where the story turns. So I've had no sleep, right? We arrived at 4 a.m. and then we've had this cat. The cat, since we've been back here, has howled all night long. Howling, screaming. He is the most vocal cat I've ever had. And it's because he wants attention. And he wants us to pet him in the middle of the night because he has slept during the day. And he hasn't exercised because normally he does miles, right? Miles of walking, miles of roaming, miles to get his prey and kill the things he does. He is a feral cat. So anyway, then this morning, Maria had to get up at 3:30 to get her niece to the airport, who was supposed to have been gone yesterday, but they canceled the flight.
Yeah, that's been going on
too.
So
that's happening a lot. Yes. So here's an example of that. So I have not slept in 5 days. 5 days between the cat howling, horrific driving. Oh, and I didn't even get to mention, I wanted to see my oldest daughter back in our stomping grounds, Sue. So the day after we got home at like 11 at night, 10 at night from coming down to Southern California.
So you were you wanted to see your elder daughter, and so you came all the way out here.
So we drove all the way out to the Sacramento area, and then the niece had not seen her father's cigar shop, which is the one in Sacramento. So we thought we should show her what her father has started. So we went to that.
Okay,
and it's also the one
this might be confusing to our listeners.
Gosh, so true.
The niece that was visiting with you wanted to see the Sacramento cigar shop that Maria had managed. That actually is her father's cigar shop. Is that my understanding?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Cool.
He used to live in Sacramento before he moved and raised his family out there in Florida. So she had not seen his creation. So it was fun for her to go see what her dad had decorated and built. It's a beautiful store. Anyway, Hot Tui cigars if you're into them. So then we went to Old Sac because Maria had promised her to go to the biggest candy store we're aware of. So we drove to Old Sac. Can you imagine the day after Christmas? And that was insane with traffic. It was beautiful though. Think about this for a 12-year-old. Driving through the snow, the mountains, seeing her dad's cigar shop and and then
Yeah.
going to Old Sac, which is decorated and all the candy you can handle. I am like worn out at this time. I am like praying I'm not going to fall into fetal position crying. I'm so dead. So we go to our town, and that's where my eldest daughter was. And we had a beautiful time for 1 hour before we turned around and came back at night. And then she was to leave yesterday morning, the niece. And so that's when the flight was canceled. So I had been preparing all day to do nothing and sit in silence, but read and nap and take it easy. And I had one more day with the 12-year-old, which ended up being magical. But Sue, that's what I want to say. It's like, I am tired. It is tiring. This was hard. Oh, I'm worn out. So there's my story.
That's quite the story. And we're back.
And we're back, Sue. If I made no sense, and I thank you for helping me clarify, but this is what 5 days of absolutely no sleep can do to the brain. They say it's like being drunk. And I have had probably 4 or less hours for 5 consecutive nights. And I am like, whoo, it makes my insomnia seem restful. I am tired.
It makes insomnia seem restful. That's funny. Yeah. No, it's not good. Just when I've got the insomnia going, you get 3 days where you don't sleep well, and then hopefully get a good 5 hours or maybe six, and that'll catch you back up. And yeah,
Yeah.
I sleep deprivation is the worst.
What's that?
Sleep deprivation is the worst.
It is. And I understand now why they use it for torture. That's what I always think. I am tortured. I am walking around tortured. No one knows it, but I am.
Well, maybe after we finish up here, you should put on a sleep mask and just go to sleep.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a go.
What are you going to do with that cat?
I'll tell you what I did. So I went yesterday to Costco and I got AirTags. So he is on my phone. And I got him a collar to put on. So that way he can get used to going outside when I go and take Gigi, and he can roam. He can be a cat. But then I'll know where he is. So if he ends up at someone's apartment, I'll know where he is. So I got the AirTag. We've got it going. This is the funniest part. For being the bravest, most ferocious cat I've ever owned, he is terrified to go outside. So this morning, I picked him up. I put him at the top of the outdoor stairs to take Gigi down to the bottom to go onto the grass. And he made it halfway down, and then he followed us right back inside. So I think this is going to be a process, but my hope is that I will feed him only at night, so he has to come back for the food, and that he will rest, not rest, but he will go and do his activities during the day, so he will sleep through the night like a child. I feel like I just now have a child. So that is what the plan is with the cat. Now, what is hysterical is after getting him the collar and putting on that AirTag, it's one of those snap-free collars because they say that's what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Within 10 seconds, it was already off. So I'm like, that's going to fail. So I did go to the to the pet store and bought a small dog collar that's more like a belt. So it don't have a snap-off collar. So he managed to keep that on. There's still plenty of space. So we'll see. We'll see. And if not, I do have a fantasy that he's going to be driven back home, and and that's just how it's going to be for a while. I don't know, but I think he'll come through.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of effort for a feral cat.
It is. I know. I know.
You can
Call
tell
me
I'm not a
stupid,
cat
but he's so cute. At the same time, he is the most ferocious cat I've ever had. Like, you'll pet him, he's purring, you think all is safe and well, and then when he decides it's enough, he will bite. So I've learned to not read him because he gives no warning, but I've learned to pet and then withhold. So he wants more, but I'm safe. So I've learned, like, there's a balance with us. There's a balance. But he's so cute, and he's so in need of affection. So cute.
See, I can tell I'm not a cat person because I would have no patience for that. Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're feral. Bye bye. You can live outside. Come by and see me when you want, and I'll give you a little food and water. That's cool. But bye bye. Go live your life. Yay.
So let's just talk. If this goes on for another week, well, let's have another conversation about what happened to Carl.
Carl.
So we need some improvement. Now, I want to hear about your experience. Like, what was the greatest or the most challenging or interesting moments?
It's interesting how you frame all that, but no, we had nice get-togethers with family. We had nice meals together. Then Melinda's family came, and they stayed for a little while, and they brought a small child too. But it was only
Mm.
for a couple nights, and it was fine. I mean, they got the difference is the child was with their parents, and so
Yes.
um, everything is manageable in that circumstance. And it is fun seeing a kid again up close and personal, and you're just reminded of what it is to be that parent. I'm glad I'm not aching to be a grandparent, because then it's kind of enforced upon you, because of course you're going to love your grandchild. I mean, who
Of
wouldn't?
course. Right.
Um, and it was just the weather was bizarre. It was cold, there was rain, there was dryness and sun. It was just all over the place, is all manic. And we got to go out to Napa yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, we went out to Napa yesterday. Isn't it funny how, like, on holidays, uh you forget what day it
It's a
is
blur.
and
It's
when
so
things
true.
were and how long ago it was. Anyhow,
So
yesterday
true.
we went out to Napa and had a nice lunch, and then went over to do a sparkling tasting. So it was all very, very nice, and the sun was out, and what are you going to complain about that? That sounds pretty darn good. So kind of, calm, like, and um yeah, and tranquil. I got to see my daughter on our pre
Christmas.
no, it was on no, I got to see my daughter on Christmas. And then she got a cold from visiting all the different families that she went to go visit. So I couldn't see her after Christmas. So you're like, okay,
All
good. At
right.
least you didn't have it when you were here. And so she missed out on the other family meals that we had, but I was able to retrieve leftovers and take those to her.
Oh, that's nice. And her
So
sickness.
yeah, so but it was just a cold, so no big deal. And life goes on. And now we got one more. I mean, as we already mentioned to our listeners, our so many thousands of listeners, we
Yes.
have we're recording before New Year's, the eve of New Year's Eve, and we'll be dropping this in the new year. So yes, that's the deal. We'll be through this whole season of seasonal stuff.
So here is my next question as we about come to a close. New Year's Eve for you. Any plans?
In the past years, I've decided for New Year's, well, we've decided it for New Year's that we just don't want to stay up to midnight. I mean, I think that at my age, this is part of being retired and the inference of the age that comes with retirement. That I don't necessarily want to stay up to midnight. If I want to, if it happens, I don't know that I would plan it, but if it were to happen, it's because there's a reason and you would enjoy it. Right now, to plan staying up for New Year's just to have the ball fall and oh the clock changed, it seems kind of ludicrous. I'm not going out partying. It's nice to stay home because you don't have to worry about driving with all the crazy people out there. And we'll probably do the same thing as last year, like around 9 o'clock. Pretend like that's midnight. It's midnight somewhere,
New
right?
York New Year's, that's
It's
what I call it.
midnight somewhere, and uh, and just do it then. Yay! And yeah, because that's all it needs to be. How about you?
I figured it out in my mid 20s that 9 o'clock is my time. So I have celebrated New York New Year's. Um, I think from mid 20s until now, one time at New Year's since that time because to me, it's like waterboarding. It is, again, an extreme torture for me to stay awake till midnight. So I won't. So probably at 9 o'clock, I'll turn on the television set and watch that ball go down in New York.
Do you remember the when you were a kid, the magic of staying up late?
I
Well,
think I hated it then too, because I remember going to a
that's funny.
slumber party in high school and everybody was talking about Saturday Night Live, which was always on at what time?
10 or it depended on where you lived if there was time change, 10 or 11.
Right. And so I had never seen it.
Oh
I,
my.
I
Wow,
was
you
such a
missed out on
sleeper.
Saturday Night Live.
I
That's such a
did.
foundational thing for a lot of humor that we grew up with. Oh my goodness, cultural awareness.
Yes. So, yeah. Yeah, no, it's not my thing.
So
I'm a
yeah,
sleeper.
no, that works for me and it kind of what that does for me is remind me that everything that falls on a certain date is just
Date.
it's a date. It's an homage that we may have to memorialize something,
Oh, I like that.
whether it's a birthday or a historical event or whatever it might be. At the same time, celebration is really integral to being human, I think. We need to celebrate things. It just doesn't have to necessarily happen on the days that they're assigned. We can assign them in the times whenever we want. And I think celebration is important. So, yeah, celebrate.
One last comment that I have that you sparked in me that I realized. We talked about Christmas and how it was so magical and we were both so into it. And I've really come to the realization that there needs to be some ritual every year, like you just got done saying. And I just thought to myself, maybe this is the New Year's. I've got a couple days, one day. What do I have? One day. I've got one day to figure this out. But I think there should be something sacred done because it is the wrap up of an entire year. And there is something, it's like a birthday. Our birthdays matter. And there should be a celebration, even though by the time we get older, we're like, no, we should be celebrating because we are actually alive. And I think that I'm going to figure something out because I think we should be celebrating the fact that another 365 days have gone by and we're here. And there's a sacredness to that. So I'm going to figure something out, but it will end at 9 o'clock. And I'll share
Yeah,
that with you.
yeah, yeah. You know, the the idea of starting a new year is starting new things, and maybe we can remember this to go. Well, maybe I'll do it for next year. Is it is nice to start the new year fresh, and that idea of a new freshness is liberating. It lets go of the past that you don't want to hold on to, and it presents an opportunity for hopefulness for the future. I like the traditions that people have had over humanity's time where you maybe change your a new set of clothing is what you get or use a new
Oh,
towels or uh
that's
whatever.
beautiful.
Yeah, it just to it's time to change out. When did I change out the
Oh,
towels? I don't remember. It's like it reminds you that it's that time. It's like the same thing. People maybe change their the batteries on their smoke detectors and things, but
no, that does not sound fun.
that's not fun. But
Oh my
getting
gosh.
new sheets
I'm
would be,
sorry.
or new towels would be.
I have to interrupt. When I was back home up in the mountains
Hmm.
for that short window of time, this is the other story. It wasn't the cat. The cat was happy. I had my carbon monoxide detector go off
Mm,
upstairs, and I
mm.
thought that's odd. Must be the battery. So I take it down, and as I'm changing the battery of that one, my other one went off from up there. And I thought, my God, I think there's a problem, but why is it going upstairs and not by our old gas heater? I have an old gas heater, right? Like a floor heater,
Hmm.
and it's super old, and it did have a gas leak a few years back. Then all of a sudden, um, my hallway one went off, and that's when I panicked.
They're all connected.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't lying. It had nothing to do with batteries. The machines were too old. It was like, we have a carbon monoxide problem. And I got a little terrified at that moment So I decided to make the call, knowing 4 years ago what will happen is if they find a gas leak, they turn off all your gas from the street, which is a safety, which I like, until you fix the problem and you get it certified by whoever fixed it. So I thought I've got to do it, which then means it's like 20 degrees outside. The gas heater's off. That means no hot water. It means like, let's abort plan and go home right away. So then I had to call, and the gas company comes out at 3:30. Now, mind you, my daughter and her boyfriend are in the room tucked away in that hallway. And then Maria's niece was on the bed, the couch in front of the fireplace, right? Talking about sleep. This man comes in with one of those fire department fans to blow everything out. We had all the windows open, all the doors. The air is rushing over this girl. She feels nothing. All the alarms have gone off. She slept through all of them.
Oh, my word.
It was amazing.
Well, hold it. Did that scare you, make you think she was poisoned by carbon monoxide?
No, because I knew that because all the windows were open, we were all going to be safe. Where it scared me, and I had the moment of panic, was my daughter and her boyfriend, because they were in the hallway with no window open and the door closed. So they, and then I'm knocking, they aren't responding. I'm trying to give them space, right? God knows what condition they're in. And I'm knocking harder. And then I just go in, right?
Right.
So my daughter's like, what's going on? And I explained it. I said, hey, boyfriend, are you alive? He's like, argh! That's all he responded. So for that moment, it was the scariest moment ever, because I thought, my God, what if they passed? So I open up the door. All of this goes on. He's got his Geiger counter. It took 45 minutes. He walks over to the fireplace. I'm like, no, what are you doing? It's the gas heater that's like ancient. And he's like, no. Anything that burns up fuel is going to give off carbon monoxide. So I learned a valuable lesson. That night, because I'd been using the stove so much with all the firewood, I had to scoop out the hot red ashes and put them in my bucket on the hearth. And I was too afraid to pick up the bucket, even with gloves, because it would burn me if the metal was hot, right? If it touched my leg. So I left it there, and I just want everybody to know that carbon monoxide gives off from the ashes. So there was never a problem. It was Tina did not take the bucket outside and stick it on the cement, and I had no idea. But the good news is my heater is great. It gave off nothing. The dryer, the gas stove, I had them check everything. The water heater, all of my gas devices are great. But listeners, if you ever use a fireplace, take the ashes out immediately.
Okay, and the best news is that all your friends, your family is safe, because I would suspect that little girl had something, and I'd be, knocking her awake. And same with your daughter and her boyfriend. Oh my goodness! I'm glad everyone was safe.
This is how I knew she was still sleeping, because she was taking off the covers when it was hot and putting the covers on when she was like, you know what I mean? Like sleepwalking. So she was fine. She did not scare me because she sleeps like a rock through everything in the car. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, she sleeps.
Dichosa, as they say. Yeah, lucky one.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, well, let's wrap this up then. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections, or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on our road trip through retirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.